I have turned on the camera. The camera. The camera is turned on. I have started the recording, and now thank you for your session, and the floor is yours.
All right, great. Let's get it started here. 1 second. Okay. So today we are talking about taking a step back maybe and a little bit more basic than maybe some of the other sessions. We're just going to talk about no code, deep impact, about advanced column types, business rules, and business process flow in Power Apps. I'm Scott Roller. I'm from the United States, and we'll talk about these things today. I got an agenda here that we'll get to, so we'll talk about that here in a second. So let's go through a couple slides while we're at it. All right, so I'm Scott Roller. I have my own independent consultancy called 365 Thoughts. I'm a solution architect for Dynamics 365 CE and Power Platform. My email is sroller@365-thoughts.com, and it's the same as my blog. And my LinkedIn is Scott J. Roller. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that would be great, or send me an email, or just check out my blog, and there's links to some videos that I've made too on YouTube. Then feel free to go ahead and do all that. That's great, and I'll accept any connections that come via LinkedIn. All right, so on the agenda now, we're going to talk about advanced column types, as I already mentioned, and then we'll talk about business rules. Then we'll talk about business process flow, and then we'll get into a demo, and we'll show how all of it works. So I'm going to talk about it first, and then we're going to get a demo, and we're going to look at what that really means in the demo. So let's begin with talking about it, and what this means for us. So for advanced column types, this is so we have our standard column types in a Power App, and these are maybe some of the more different types, some of the more advanced ones, like I was talking about, where we have some text. We have a text column type, but there's a specialty or a format of email, rich text, phone number, ticker symbol, or web URL. So we're going to look at each one of these and see what it means. But really, from high level, an email is going to be formatted in an email format, and then it's going to give us a button to allow us to send an email out directly from our Power App. Rich text is going to give us some advanced editing features for a big text block that we might want to have. Phone number is going to give us the ability to call directly from the Power App and create a phone call activity record directly. So there's a button that allows us to do that when we give it the phone number type. Ticker symbol will give us all caps for what we type in there for our ticker symbol, and then will give us a button that will call out and pull up information about that ticker symbol. And then web URL will format our text field like a web URL, and then we can have another button that will call out and display that web URL in a new tab. We have numbers. So some of our new number types are duration. So we have a duration pull down where we can select a duration. We have a time zone, so it'll allow us to select any time zone in the world to become a part of that record, and we can use that information too, maybe to alter other fields or other information based on time zone. There's language code. So any language that you have loaded in Power Apps, in my case, I just have English, but if there was other languages, it would allow us to choose from any of those languages that we have loaded into the environment or the tenant that we're talking about. And then there's auto number, and auto number, we'll get into that a little bit more, but that is can get kind of complex. But whenever we create a new record, it'll create a new system generated auto number for us that can have a couple different formats that we'll talk about later. A lookup field can be either a customer, which is a combination of being able to choose an account or a contact as a lookup to a customer, or just any other table that we want. So we can select and format a lookup to another table in our Dataverse and look up from whatever record we're on to that other table. There's a file and image type fields. So we can select a single image or a single file to be shown. I put a SharePoint question mark here because I think in the case of a file, that SharePoint integration is a way better way to do it than just selecting a single file to be. But there may be applications where you do want just one single file shown on the form of your Power App. So we're going to look at that and see what that means. But the image is really cool, and obviously we'll show that as well. For a formula, formulas are going to replace calculated fields. So I have an example of both, where the old school calculated field, what that means, but that's going to be depreciated, and it's going to be replaced with formulas. And so formulas are PowerFX formulas. And one of the really cool things that you can do there is you can use Copilot to help you build and write your PowerFX formula that you want to create. And the formula has a lot more power than just a standard calculated field. A calculated field is kind of limited in what it can do, but a formula can do a lot of different things, many of which are covered by JavaScript, and JavaScript still has a little bit more power than PowerFX, but PowerFX is getting into that realm of replacing JavaScript a little bit. So roll-up columns. We can gather values from a related table and roll them all up and do some calculation and then display it on the form. So we'll look at that, and it'll make a little more sense when I describe it to you in real time or in real life in my example. But it's the ability to filter those related fields and just do, like I said, some basic aggregation on the rolled up data. All right. So that's our advanced column types. If we move on to business rules, so business rules are much like those formulas that I was talking about before, where this is a no-code attempt to replace some of that JavaScripting that we would do in the past. So, before all this no-code stuff, we would try to do these things with JavaScript in the browser. So for business rules, we have some basic functionality that we can do, where we can lock fields, we can show an error message, we can set field values, we can set business required or not, if it make the field required or make it not required. We can set visibility, so we can make fields appear or disappear based on other choices or other logic that we have in our business rule. So I use these a lot. I prefer to use these over just going straight to creating and writing JavaScript. And then a couple of the examples that I built into my demo. We have my whole demo is built off of Canadian food references, as I am, or somebody is, a food critic and going out and investigating or looking at Canadian foods. And I originally created this scenario for the Canadian Summit several months ago. So I've kept the same scenario together. And the first one is for Hawaiian pizza. So the Canadians, if you believe it or not, created Hawaiian pizza, which kind of seems weird, but that's a combination of ham and pineapple on a pizza. So I have a couple different business rules that are related around that scenario. And then I also have one business rule that is setting URLs to a Wikipedia site for each type of food that's in my scenario. So we'll look at that also, and how those business rules are working. Okay, so last main topic that we're going to talk about is our business process flow. So this is how we can control the business flow. We can simplify processes. We can really specify what direction users should go. and tell them in each process, each step of the process, what are the important fields, and focus on what's important, and the certain fields that are important at each step. So sometimes this is, as I've already said, to simplify. So we may have 100 fields, or a lot of different fields on a form, but really these are the ones that are important, and these are the ones that are important at each step of the process. And it's to drive and reinforce that training and that process that we have in our system. We could have some advanced branching where we skip over steps or make decisions logic in our business process flow, and I'll show how that works. I have a really simple example of that. And then my process that I built was for that food critic process. So we're gonna focus on the needs of a food critic and get a baseline review for the foods that we're reviewing. All right, so that didn't take very long. It only took like 10 minutes for me to go through and describe what we're going to talk about today. But let's see this in action. Let's look at our demo. So I'll bring up my demo site here. And 1 second while I do that. I apologize. I forgot that I logged out of it. So give me a minute while we do this. Didn't intend to do this, but I wanted it to be fresh, and then I forgot to log back in. So this will take a couple seconds. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go into my, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to go into my apps. And this is the PowerMaker portal. If you're not familiar, Power Apps portal. And the app that we're going to look at today is my 365 Thoughts app. So I'm just going to launch it and play it. And it'll bring it up for us. And you might notice at the top some of the branding that I was talking about for the Canadian Summit. And there we go. All right, so it's fully loaded. It's pretty simple. I kept this app simple on purpose, just to show people some different functionality. Is everybody back? Sorry about that. I guess
we have
okay. I guess
a job.
Yeah, I guess I had a brief connection issue there, but I'll repeat last few seconds of what I was saying. Here's my app. We have accounts, contacts, activities, and then we have a brand new custom table called Canadian Foods that we're going to get into. So let's talk about some of the different features that we were discussing before. So if I get into contacts, and of course this is going to be slow. There we go. And I drill down into a contact. We have those different advanced column types. And so one of them was email. So the email, as I said, is formatting plus being able to send an email from inside of our Power App. So right now, well, let's jump. Let's talk about the button first, because I have an email in here, email address. But we have our jim@coho.com, and we have the button over here. And so I can hit the button, and it was on my other screen, but it'll bring up my Outlook and attempt to send an email to Jim because of the button that I just hit in my Power App. So that's kind of cool. It automatically allows us to do that. And if we have our Outlook connected to Power Apps, it'll create an activity, an email activity for us as well through the integration. But if I'm going to enter a new email, I'm just going to put my first name in there. If that's all that I put, it says, oh, it's not a valid email address. So it knows the format of an email address, and it won't allow you to enter something that is not a valid email address. So if I put Scott at test, even if I go do that, it still knows, well, there's no dot extension. It still knows that's not a valid email address. So you have to go all the way out to something similar to that for it to recognize, yeah, okay, now we have a valid email address, and I'm going to allow this to be in the system, because I couldn't have saved this record because of the previous error message. This won't allow me to save. I have to put in valid data in here to be able to save the record. So now I have a valid email address, and it'll allow me to save, and I can send an email out using the button over here to the right. So that's the example of an email. Then we have a phone number field. So up above, we can see that we have this business phone, and it's not so concerned with formatting, because there's a lot of different phone formats out there in the world. So it's not going to hold us to a certain phone format. But whenever we enter a phone number, it does give us this button once again. And the button will open a new phone activity in our Power App, and allow us to create that phone activity, give it a subject. The call is from me to Jim, which is our contact, and we start filling out some information about our phone call. And then also, I know this to be true, that if we had a voice over IP system that we had integrated with our Power App, then we could actually make calls directly out of our Power App using the phone call button. So that's kind of cool also. But as you can see here, if I enter a new one here, I can just enter 1234, and it thinks that's a phone number, which I don't think that's a phone number really anywhere in the world. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in this field about format, but it still creates that phone call icon or button over to the right. All right, so the next one, I'm gonna have to go over to accounts to see this one for ticker symbol. So on ticker symbol, I've already gone ahead for this account and entered the Microsoft ticker symbol. And let's get rid of that and show that, well, I can't really show this too well, but I'm not using, well, you can see it. Okay, you can see that I'm not using uppercase letters. But if I save, I think this is true. Hopefully I'm not lying. Maybe I am. Okay. Sorry. I thought for sure that it made it uppercase after you saved, but apparently it doesn't. And I was misinformed about that, but it does give you this button over to the right to allow you to go out and check out information about this ticker symbol. The only problem I've had is that it hasn't worked for me very consistently. So if I click on this, it'll open up MSN and try to look up the Microsoft ticker symbol, but I always get a blank screen. I'm not sure why that happens, so I need to look into that a little bit more, but that's what it's supposed to do. And I've actually went out and done a little bit of light research, and that's what it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to look up the ticker symbol and give you some news about it. It just doesn't seem to be working properly. All right, so the next one is website. So on this account, we have a website field, and I've entered my blog site so that I knew where we'd be going with this. But if get rid of that, if I just enter some random numbers, see it always formats for us, puts that HTTPS : in front of whatever we type in there. So it's not so concerned about whether it's a proper website formatting, but it will put the beginning part of the website URL for us. So I'm going to paste back in my website, and then once again it gives us this globe or button to the right, which when we click on that, it'll launch whatever website is in that field. So whatever URL is in that field, it'll go out and create a new tab or open a new tab with that website. Okay, so rich text. Sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but let's go back over to our contacts. And our rich text example is down here at the bottom of our contact. So we have this nice big description field, which comes, pretty much out of the box, I think, with most contact records. And it's just a free form text field that I can start typing into, but it doesn't give us this extra formatting feature at the top. So when we create a rich text field, it acts a lot of the same way as this big, 2,000 character multi-line text field. But we also get the ability to change fonts if we want to make things bold, to highlight things, and really anything that we want to there that we can see these tools up at the top. We can indent or make numbered lists. So if you need that extra formatting capability, a rich text field is really keep it simple and just have a regular multi-line text field. Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about numbers now. That was all about the text field, so let's talk about advanced number types. Yeah, so over here in the details of my contact, I've included some of these advanced number types. So for our duration, you create a number type field and select a duration type within that number, within that number field. And then you get this type of field where you have a drop down of different durations that you can choose, kind of standard durations. So 1 minute, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, all the way up to you can choose 1, 2, or 3 days. So this is very, standard out of the box. Maybe you want, if you want something more advanced or something with more choices, you may need to make your own option set. But this is the standard duration field that comes with Power Apps. Right. Okay. Then also, well, one of the things I'll say is I think it's kind of weird that this is maybe it's not, but in my mind, it's kind of weird that this is a number type field. The same way with time zone, that you need to choose a number type field to create a time zone drop down pick list. Maybe those things go together, but in my mind, it's kind of a weird thing. So here, though, we can choose a time zone field and drop down and choose any time zone with All right. Sorry about that. Looks like I froze again, but
You're back.
I was talking about time zones. We could use this time zone dropdown to make other logic selections if we want to. So if like for instance, if I change my time zone, I may change something else on the form that's related to that time zone. So I think there's a lot of value here. We can do the language code. And as I was mentioned before, any language that we have loaded in our Power App can be selected. I only have English selected, English United States, in my tenant of Power Apps. But if you had other languages, German or Spanish or Polish or whatever the case may be, they would be listed here and you could select those. And then maybe you do maybe because of this language code selection, you have something else that goes through and translates a piece or all of your form if you want to, based on your language code. That's something that could be possible, although it's a little more, way more complex. Let me get back to my notes here. Yep, there we go. And so auto number is over here, and it is not populated right now because this contact was already created when I created the auto number field. But let's jump back out here to this new test record that I created not too long ago for this reason. And when I created this test record and it had the auto number, it auto-populated this number in here, which is a combination of date and and a number sequence. So you can see that I created this record on the 16th of January of this year, and that it gave us the number of 1001 because I chose, our numbering system to begin at 1000. So if I created a new one, a brand new contact, the auto number would come up with the date that it was created plus, in this case, 1002 and 1003, and keep going that way and iterate on that numbering system. But we have several different ways of prefixing our auto number. We can use a string, we can use a date like I did, or we can do a custom and kind of describe it as you want. So when you're creating that field, you have those abilities to change how you want that auto number to display and the formatting of it. I thought that the date and number made the most sense, and this is what I like, is having a date of when the auto number was created, plus that next number in the cycle. Also, I think it's a good idea if you're going to have an auto number field or something like this to make it read only, where somebody can't come in and change the auto number. The whole point of the auto number is that it's unique and it's the next one in the sequence. So I haven't done it here, but to make this field read only, where it generates itself, but then it can't be changed after it's been generated. All right, so let's look at some examples of related fields. So a couple different things that we have going on here, where we have we can either have a lookup field. That's where I'm going. A lookup field can be a customer type, or it can be a lookup to a different table in our database. So the company field is a great example of a customer field, where we can look up either accounts or we can look up contacts. And this lookup reference can be either an account or a contact. And right now it's an account. We know that, Coho Winery, we can see based on the icon to the left of it is an account record. But then we could choose, we could go in and change it and choose a contact that is related to, that is our customer. So that's the uniqueness of a customer field. And then just a regular lookup. So we could have things like, let's see, like if we had a reference to Canadian foods, and I thought I had an example, but I'm not finding it right now. Maybe I'll see it here in a little bit. But we could have a reference to Canadian foods, and we could just select a Canadian food that we wanted to relate to a contact, and that would be another example of a direct relationship that's not a non-customer related relationship. Right. So let's move on to our files and our images. So as I said a few minutes ago, I still think it's a good idea if you're going to relate a file to any record to enable the SharePoint integration so that you can relate multiple records, and so that the record isn't taking up Dataverse space, which is expensive. One second. But is in SharePoint, and SharePoint is less expensive on storage. But in this case, we have this file that I have related. It's an easy way to see just one file. And if I click on it, then it will go out, find that file, and open it for me. Oh yeah, there it is. It's in my downloads. So I could go into downloads and open this file. So, there may be like this. There may be a great use case for saving one file on a form and the ability to open it directly from the form. But I still think the better scenario is creating that relationship or that integration with SharePoint, saving all your files in SharePoint, going out to that documents location, which it would be in the related, and seeing those documents there, just because of the cost of storage and the ability to have different folders and things there. But this is the single file format. And then we have the images over here. So both of these are basically the same file type. It's just if you choose to have it be a file format or an image format. And so in this case, image I think is really cool because it shows the image, and you can upload any image that you want to here, and then you can also open it. So I can open, and this is my my announcement for speaking at this engagement. And this is the way that it opens it. It opens it nice and big, and you can see it. And so there's a lot of nice applications here. You may have the image of the person you're talking about, or you may have some image for, I didn't put this on foods, but I could have a food image if I had it on a food record. All right. So let's see. What else? Where are we going now? Yeah, let's look at calculated fields and formula fields. And those are over here. Yep. So on our calculated field, where did I put that? Sorry about this. Oh, I remember where I put it. Sorry. Yeah, it's going to be in Canadian foods. We'll look at that in a second. So let's talk about formula first. So the formula that I created here, the scenario is that we have hourly rate, we have hours worked, and then the formula is calculating, and you can see it's locked, so we can't change this manually on purpose, but it's calculating 90 times 40 is 3,600. So if we had an hourly rate of $90 an hour and at 40 hours for a week, we would be making $3,600. And so that's what that formula is doing. The formula, as I said, can be a lot of different things and has a lot of power. But the real simple one here that I've done is just a simple calculation. I just wanted to kind of mimic what a calculated field would do and show you that since calculated fields are being depreciated, how we can change and use formula fields to replace them. And then the other really cool thing, I think I alluded to this before, is the Copilot aspect. Or maybe I didn't mention it before, but when you're creating these PowerFX formulas, there's a Copilot component where you can natural language just tell it what you want it to do. And then it will, in most cases, and it has for me most of the time, built out the formula perfectly for me. Or there may be a few tweaks that you need to make, but a lot of times it gets it first time and says, yep, this is the formula that you need. So I told it, multiply hourly rate times hours worked and give me that formula. And so it did. It just wrote it out, and all I had to do was cut and paste and put it in my formula field, and we were good to go. All right, roll-up fields. So I talked about this. This is an advanced column type, and this is our example of a roll-up field. This roll-up field is calculating the average spice level of the foods that this guy, this contact has reviewed as a food critic. So it's going out and looking at all of the related Canadian foods that are related to this contact. So this guy has gone out and reviewed many different foods, and then it's getting the spice value off of all of those Canadian foods that he's reviewed and giving an average value. So his average spice level is 6. There's also this nice little calculator button. If I click on that, it'll recalculate. You can see the last time that it was calculated was this morning at 5:10 a.m., but I can recalculate, and it will, it'll do it just exactly as it says. See, it just recalculated for this time. In case there was some updates to the data, you can get a nice new calculation there. So it's, it's just a basic aggregation. It really is not very much more advanced than getting an average of the numbers. There are a few more things that you can do, but the important part there is that it's gathering all the data from related kind of sub-records, or this might be the parent record to some other records. It's going to go out and gather all the data from those other records, and then you can do an average or maybe a max value or something like that to do a roll-up value for a record. Okay, so those were our advanced column types, and it looks like we're doing pretty good on time here. So let's talk about business rules and business process flow. So this means that we're going to go out to our custom record type, which is our Canadian foods. I'll open up my record here, which I'm calling Canadian nachos. So if anybody is familiar with poutine in Canada, it's a combination of French fries or fried potatoes with gravy and cheese curds on top. They eat it a lot at hockey games and things like that. I'm not Canadian, but I had a lot of fun trying to kind of make fun of some of my Canadian colleagues when I was up at the Canadian Summit. So that's what our example is here right off the bat. Oh, and I'm also going to mention while we're here, before we get off the topic, of the calculated field that I mentioned before. This is where the calculated field is coming into play, and the difference between it and the formula. So this is the food price is $10, and our calculated field in this scenario is our total price. So our total price, the calculation is doing 10% of the food price and giving us a total price. So it's calculating tax. It's kind of a example of calculating the tax on our food price. So a $10 food price with a 10% tax would give us an $11 total price. And so, yeah, so that's our calculated field. And this is what's really going away in the future. But we can obviously do the same thing with a formula. With our business rules that I wanted to key in on here. So several different ones. So we have some, the basic functionality that I mentioned before of making things disappear or appear, make things required, not required, all that basic functionality. The Hawaiian pizza situation, though, that I was talking about. So we have several different food types here. I already have poutine selected, but I can choose maple syrup. If I choose Hawaiian pizza, which I was about to show, then it gives us an error message, and it says, "Yeah, you're not Hawaiian, and that's nasty." So some people do not like the combination of ham and pineapple on a pizza. I think it's the pineapple part that people don't like. Um, so I was, once again, having some fun here with my example, my demo. And so when Hawaiian pizza is selected, then this error message comes up, and that's all done through a business rule. One of the things that's kind of annoying about the error message is that it will not allow you to save the record. I kind of want this scenario where I can have an alert, but it also then allows me to save. But that's not the case with this. One of the things I did though is if I choose a different food type, the alert goes away or the error message goes away, but a recommendation comes up. So this you can see that when Hawaiian pizza is chosen, the recommendation is not there. But if a different food type is chosen, then we have this recommendation, and if we choose the light bulb, it'll say, "Hey, do you want to choose?" It'll give you a recommendation. Do you want to choose Hawaiian pizza? It's ham and pineapple. That sounds delicious, and you can apply it. Let's apply that. And if we save, now it's telling us that error again. Oh, you're not Hawaiian, and that's nasty. So it's kind of a circular event that I thought was funny, but it demonstrates the ability to use business rules for error messages, but then also to have recommendations as a business rule. The other one that we have going on here that you may have noticed, and I mentioned before, is our Wikipedia URL. This is all being set with a business rule as well. So anytime that this value up above changes, if I go to maple syrup, now the maple syrup Wikipedia URL appears. If we go to back bacon, now the back bacon URL comes up. And then if I go all the way over here to the right, I know this is a big screen, but if I go all the way over here to the right and choose the web URL button once again, then that will launch that Wikipedia site. And you can see, a link to back bacon, which is also known as Canadian bacon. But in Canada, they don't like using that term, so they use the term back bacon. The same thing would happen if I came down and I used choose poutine and launched that Wikipedia site. Now it's showing a picture of poutine in Canada, which is a classic food, which is, as I said before, it's that French fries, cheese curds, and brown gravy. And it looks like it originated in Quebec back in the 1950s. I'll shut down some of these tabs that I have open. Okay, so those are some of my business rules, and they're real easy to implement. If we have a little bit of time here, I may even show that, depending on time. But let's talk about the business process flow to kind of finish up our topics for the day. That's what we have going on up here at the top. This is our business process flow. And in this scenario, I designed this to follow the critic process on how they would want to review a food. And admittedly, this is a little bit basic. It's not a very complex process flow, but it kind of fits with our theme. So we wanted to collect the types. So we wanted to make sure that we had, for the type selection, that we had the type selected and the name of the food. Then we go on to the next stage, and we had the food price. We wanted to make sure that we got the food price with the total price. We wanted to make sure that we got the spice level. So we have a spice level of 6 here. And then we wanted to make sure that we got the ingredients when we are reviewing foods in every step of the process. One of the things that we've done, though, is with that Hawaiian pizza scenario, is when the food is not Hawaiian pizza, that everything is good. We have the type, we have the price, and we have the spice level. If I was to choose Hawaiian pizza here, now our business process flow changes. And this is one of those advanced branching logic things. Is it's looking for Hawaiian pizza to be selected. Then it gives us the change step up here where selecting the price is no longer an option, but it's giving that error again of do not eat Hawaiian pizza. And so it'll change and it'll show us that advanced branching based on what food is chosen. Once again, go back to refresh. Go back to back bacon. We have food price that's shown. We go to Hawaiian pizza. It changes to do not eat Hawaiian pizza. So that's our simple example of our advanced branching logic in a business process flow. All right. So that is pretty much everything that I wanted to show today. Let's get back to my slides and maybe we'll go out and look at also what those business rules look like, or maybe even the business process flow here in a second. But I want to make sure that I hit everything properly in the slides. So you're right. So if you have any questions, please, or want to rate my session, go ahead and do that. You can fill out a survey and you can win some swag. And you can use that, that URL that you probably have seen already from other sessions there. Thank you. I'm Scott Roller. I'm going to go back and I am going to show a few other things, but I just wanted to kind of get through the slides here and get to the end. I'll keep this one up for a moment, but this is all of my information if you want to reach out or connect with me. So with a little bit of time that we have left here, let's go back and look at what those business rules and business process flow look like on the maker side of things, which I think is valuable. All right, so I want to go here. Sorry. I want to go here and I want to talk about the critic process. I'm going to edit in a new tab. So I'm going to open up the Critic process, which is our business process flow. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to load. I didn't think that it would. I'll jump back over here real fast. Yep, okay. All right, so here we are. Here's our business process flow, and this is where you can see from a back-end building standpoint of what I built. It's going through, and it's always going to show and select or show the food type as the beginning. Then when we get to this condition, it's looking for does the food type equal a Hawaiian pizza or not? And actually, this is a kind of a reverse lookup, but if it does not equal Hawaiian pizza, then we want to go to food price. If it does equal Hawaiian pizza, then we come down to our new don't eat Hawaiian pizza selection. And then both of these, whether it's yes or no for this condition, end up going to spice level and ingredients. So this is our real simple detour or change of logic in our business process flow that you can see. And so that's how I built that, and that's how that's working. So let's look at business rules. Yeah, where'd my business rules go? Sorry about that. Let's see here. I forgot. Well, anyway, I forgot where I put my business rules right now. Sorry about that. It's kind of an odd thing for me to forget, but they're out there and they're doing the things that we talked about, where they are selecting those values and they're not too complex. They're just building that logic out. Sorry about that. But any questions? I guess we'll open it up for questions now, and I'm available to answer any questions that you might have about these topics.
I will open the mics so you can go unmute and just ask the question. And I will also allow cameras. And I have one question. When you are talking about the email field and have this button, which you are sending the email, or actually calling out the email program, is it? Are you controlling it, or is it Windows which controls it and pick up the default email client on your computer?
Yeah, I didn't do any controls over this. It's all just kind of out of the box. So I'm assuming that it's Windows that's doing it, but I didn't do anything special here. It just kind of works this way.
Okay, I was wondering if you have any control over it.
You may, but I didn't do anything in my example. So there may be more advanced ways to control that. I'm not aware of. But yeah, just out of the box, the way that it works normally, just naturally, is what you see. You enter an email address, you can hit the button, and then it knows that I have Outlook, and so it calls up my Outlook in a new window, and that's how it works without any further changes.
Yeah, the question also is if you can fill in the subject already. Just pushing this button.
Interesting. I'm not sure. That's something to look into. I haven't tried that myself. So that's an interesting question. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, super. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute and just ask. All right. If there is no, Scott, thank you very much for the session. It was very interesting and very fast go through all those elements. And I think we have at least refreshed our memories, and some of us learned something new, for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.